So I've got my Resolume going here and some MIDI sending out to it using the loop BE, the free driver that you can get online for PC. IAC is the best solution that I know of for Mac that I've used a whole bunch. And we've got in the preferences MIDI set to track out, and in Resolume I've got it linking up to the playback. Couple of CCs here. Modulation 1 goes to where it plays in the clip. Modulation 2 is the start point of the clip loop, and then 3 is set to the playhead. So you can see things jumping around there. It's a real glitchy kind of look to it. So I figured maybe we would try to match that somehow. Anyway, it's a some point to start from as far as inspirations go, and you got to take it where you can get it. So let's use a drum rack for this, and I'm gonna do that silly thing. Well, I guess one note to rule them all. Ooh, just a single sine tone like that just really kind of gets under the skin of the ears a little too easy. Okay, so MIDI effect, arpeggiator, and it's a pretty basic starting point here. Let's get some really I like how this almost turns into a really dirty oscillator. Also the name of my new band, the Dirty Oscillators. There's probably actually already a band out there called the Dirty Oscillators. It's a good local, industrial experimental electronic music band name. Yeah, I kind of like the percussive textural thing that this creates. I mean, it really doesn't take much to get something out of the old operator there. It's my go-to. Probably should one day switch it up, but for sketching I like to keep things simple. Don't like to overcomplicate things too much, even though, as you've seen, I definitely have convoluted things. Nice. Let's throw some pitch in there. Big bassy, yeah. Awesome. Okay, so we can just, bass text for texture. And let's keep on the process. Don't want to spend too long in the sketch phase on any one thing. Although, honestly, it doesn't matter. You spend as much time as you feel, as much time as seems right. So, I tell you, the almost should set the preset of my operator to have a volume of 0. So, or just remember to turn it off first. Okay, hold on a second. I almost feel like I should have just duplicated this over here. And yeah, we'll call this Dirty 2. Yeah, that's what I'm going to name this. Dirty Oscillator. And then when you tick off the sync, you can get even crazier. It's like a pole position Atari. That's a car revving up right there. Yep, driving down the highway. Yep. Good stuff. All right, it's taking me back. I'm having a flashback to the old The old home arcade days. Yeah, sounded like almost like an old CRT monitor on the fritz. Yeah, we're gonna have to pluralize this because we're gonna get a lot of dirty oscillators in there. And you know, if we really wanted to spice up the love life of our sound designs here, it's already pretty spicy if you really stop and think about it. We could add another loop here to the envelope and get an even more kind of absurd sounding oscillation happening. Nice. Okay. Yeah. So I think the key here is finding the sweet spot as far as modulating things so that, you know, well, as far as what I'm hearing, keeping it variating, keeping it changing, keeping it fresh. Got to stay fresh. Don't want to stagnate. You know, if we were just doing a noise set, yeah, we would just let these noisy, dirty oscillator tones just kind of. Yeah, I think we would let these just kind of like play out, you know, and slowly modulate. Such the trend there in those. It's the fashion in those styles of music. Well, I think with noise music, there's so much missed opportunity to doing a lot more dynamic type of stuff. And I've heard a few noise artists who really took it to the next level and actually created some nice compositional movements to their noise, not just, you know, noise drone, if you will. I think Empty Set is one artist that comes to mind that does a good job of keeping it fresh, doing some interesting. Yeah, almost like electrical buzz, which, you know, fits with the video. Didn't take long to really create something to go with our video there. And if we want to easily bring it into a nice, more, I guess, realistic feeling space, we obviously have a lot of options there, but the convolution reverb is the first thing that comes to my mind and is a really simple way of, yeah, I'm curious what this sine wave sounds like in there. Like, not that interesting. I mean, it's something. Makes the whole thing sort of sound like it's coming out of a plastic box speaker. Although too much bass for that even. Yeah, if you really wanted to simulate a speaker, pull out all the bass, and yeah, it would sound like a toy speaker, which are mostly mid-range. I keep a pair of those cheap passive, I think it's Logitech is the brand I have, just in case I need some, when I'm mastering, monitor on a really crappy system, because sadly, so many people listen to music on crappy systems. Yikes. And I feel like our impulse response is tuned to the left a little bit, and that's the difficulty with. Let me go ahead and make sure we're not blowing out anybody's eardrums. Yeah, making IRs, impulse responses, it's not easy to get one that, when you're doing it the way we did it, faking it, making a fake one, with white noise. It's hard to get like the perfect left and right. Yeah, this is sounding a lot more like, oh, we set up the sound to run through some kind of speaker system, and we're just holding up a mic, or we got a mic set up in a room, single mic. All right, well, let's turn that off for now, and maybe get back to that. I kind of want to go back to, maybe we'll try this one. Yeah, this one does not sound as rich as the convolution. Just immediately, but for all intents and purposes, for sketching, for making just getting a rough idea out there, it's pretty much fine. Yeah, we got this like high-end electrical. And I do feel like when we pull this down, I like the high end coming through on this one, honestly. Let's pitch that one way up. Just moving around knobs, trying to listen for some new direction to go in. Trying to suss out inspiration from the sketch at hand. That's the trick. It is easier said than done. Let's turn this on the filter, see what we get. Yeah, really squeaky. Wow. That just added a layer of ooze. Yeah, it's looking like our Resolume glitched out video cannot handle this. Well, cool. I think we did a fantastic job of at least matching up to our Resolume footage, but I think for now I'm going to just switch that off and focus on the sound. That's what we're really here for. I mean, I like having some video, and I like trying to play around with that, and I would like to get into some jitter at some point. It's great to have the video as a jumping off point to spark a little bit of ideas, but no reason why we have to keep it going the whole time. Let me get this sort of out of the way. Cool. Yeah, juicy. Okay, where to next? Well, let's try a new tone, a new direction, add a new layer. The best music, in my opinion, has a bunch of nice layers. Cool. And as seen on TV, we can just jump this arpeggiator in there and sort of gate out sections. Let's drop it down 2 octaves. And honestly, a little techno beat. A little techno never hurt anyone. Cool. Gosh, I wish we could have pitch envelopes and each one having its own pitch envelope. That would be too crazy. And we can throw in some intensity here in the low end with our high pass. Nice. Seems like this OSR one has a bit of a drive on it. Oh wow, we got a whole other drive section. I guess I stand corrected. Let's try some of these. Yeah, there's a real banging kick there. Classic. We could try play with a little white noise. It's got that jumpy bounce to it. Yep, there goes the needle jumping off the record. And let's try a square. Sometimes I just think to do random things like, oh, I haven't played with that in a while. Let's try that. Oh, it definitely adds some bite. Wow, that is a bitey kick right there. And we're not really automating anything yet, so yeah, we could just, you know, call this kick with teeth. I want to save this preset. I think it's worth coming back to maybe later on. And if I can just find out where to put it. All right. This is such a process of learning even like how I'm setting things up, my own little framework here. It's nerd world problems. Like a little, definitely gotta have a tail and kick. Well, okay. Okay, we're gonna have to do that. We're definitely gonna have to. All right. How else can we muck with it? Yeah, that distortion on that filter is definitely, and this LFO together, oof. I think if I remember, yep, we can automate that. So let's turn that on and off every now and then. It adds an extra layer of gnar, of just a nasty layer on top. You know, we'll see how long it takes before I get, you know, completely bored of this techno 1144. Wow, this almost creates like a wub. And I just realized we're at 53. That's pretty modestly slow there, but apparently, you know, it doesn't matter because you can, with the arpeggiator, make things go pretty fast. Okay, so I guess is it now time to try and explore a bit of a snare. Yeah, just not finding the word there. All right, and I just had a really silly idea here. So we have 3 notes going in here. Yes, and of course we're just doing all, all long notes. If we wanted to, we could just have, smaller sections of notes here. So we could really control things that way. And if I group this, and if I drop in, and let's say an arpeggiator with, we'll set that to 1, 1. And if we just send in one note, if I set this to hold on, will it just kind of create our entire sequence that we just had going for us? Yes, but only... and we need to do a gate of like, say, 200%. Okay, so at this point, if we want to have each of these controlled by, because before we had 3 long notes. And if I want to make this easy down the road, Narby, let's see, play mid C, or C3, yeah, middle C. And I'm always enjoying the idea of creating a I know what we have to do. Creating these racks that are just super easy to drop in later on and mess about with. So C3, and then this one's pushing it up 1. So C sharp 3, and then this one will push it up 2, so that would be D. Cool, so now all we need, and as long as this hold is on, we just need to only hit the note once, and then this hold will just grab the note and hold on to it. So this is a really odd but fun way to build a very simple, sort of almost self-running rack. Oh yeah, there's my glorious sine tone, which there's our cop-out snare. Simple snare. Well, we can make it a lot more fascinating sounding, I think. Cool. So we've just got one long held note. You can see the dot there just sticking around. That just means the note is still on, and then you can see when it starts over again. And this thing set to 1, 1 is, with the gate of 200%, means it's sending out a long note and holding it for a long time. So we can add an arpeggiator at the beginning of our snare and break that one single note down into multiple notes. So this is, it reminds me of how a lot of modular rigs are set up as far as using our arpeggiators to create a lot of different types of beats. I know there are obviously a million different modules for sequencing and some that have almost piano roll type interfaces, but yeah, I think we'll have, since we've got such a low tempo here, and honestly we should send this up to yeah, that's definitely in your face. So I think we could pull this down. Nice. And if we want to create a quick gate, and why am I not using the Max for Live gate patch, you ask? And the reason is because with racks, you know, it's great to have max value patches being used in them and all. But say you just want to share it out with a friend, or you want to load this in on a computer where you don't have all your max value patches configured. Well, you might just load in a rack and it won't be able to find the patch. So this is kind of why it just makes it easier down the road. And that's just my personal preference, but all right, so if we drop this pitch right after the random, and let's see, we've got note C, I believe it's like C1, 2, 3, so D3. Range of 1. Oh, apparently it's C3 that we're getting through here. Oh, I see. So we're gonna only play it, yeah, when it hits the blue there, which makes a bit more sense. A chance of 100%. And we definitely want the same setup with the snare. Cool. So and I am curious now what will happen if we add this to our crazy before our or after the crazy arpeggiator. And let's go ahead and put one on the bass texture. So this is, yeah, very generative. As you can tell, it's now just kind of firing things off howevs it feels. And we can put this chance here. We could just say bass os space probability. Oh, maybe yeah, wish yeah, there you go. Probability works for me. All right. Our dirty oscillator we will map to here. Dirty oscillator space PRBLTY. Cool. Kick with teeth. And I guess I had put this thing here. I was going to create a gate. But now that I'm actually trying to build this rack up for future use, trying to make things easier for myself down the road so that it's easy and it makes sense. Kick with teeth. Yeah, no. Just call this kick. 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 Probability. And, you know, it would be also cool to pull this down so you get quieter notes when we pull our probability down a little bit, so we could have it that I think I would all right. There's so many ways to tweak it. It really is kind of, it's just, oof, have so much fun. Probability. There we go. Kick prob. Yeah, whatever. Rename it all later. So no kick. I think we're going to try to shape this this kick a little bit, if I remember. Well, it's almost one of those like sweet tom sounds, you know, sweet. And yeah, we could. It's cool they give you the loop option on so many different. So with the loop, we get this. It almost makes it into a little. It oscillates it slightly. So let's try that with our filter. So maybe a bandpass. Yeah, I don't know, that kind of. Yeah, I liked our dirty oscillator and stuff a lot more on. And we can map these to our master. There we go. So I should probably set up a template like this so that all we have to do is just drop in instruments or samples. And I'll include this rack, obviously. You can just swap this out for whatever samples you want, and you can repeat, you know, kind of how I set this up, and you can go as many layers as this drum rack will allow, honestly. And you could have also like nested drum racks where you put a randomizer, and so the note that comes in, it randomizes that and just picks a different random layer. I kind of want to fool about with that kind of idea. First, I need to get rid of this bandpass here. Cool. Almost clappy, slightly clappy. Just really garbles it a little bit. If we add a sample and hold to our LFO and have that control the filter there, we'll get even more kind of. We need to speed that up. And I guess we can have an envelope on the LFO too, which is fun. So many options. It's almost too much of a hi-hat now. And let's try, there we go. Get some really super dynamic sounds out of FM synthesis. All right, cool. So we have this, we'll just call this perk. We need to get another note here split off, and I should turn off my mapping here. So we need to, what, D, we're now on in E territory. Let's pump this up one more. So our one note coming in, yeah, we don't even need another note. So really, honestly, when you drop this into the rack, you just play C3 in there, and the arpeggiator and this little splitter upper takes care of the rest for you. Makes life a lot easier. Obviously, you could strip those out and then, you know, turn these things off and then play a bunch of notes in there instead. It's the old-fashioned way. Just, you know, more control that way, of course. But so I guess we want to split this thing out here. So we have now this sound here, and I need to make it more distinct. Okay, cool. Yeah, we have a Tweety bird now. Not my favorite type of... Cool, and this Chance seems to be working on Tweety Chance. And as I was saying before, we could throw a randomizer in there. I'm just going to have 3 different voices, 3 different operators in here. And right now we've got an instrument rack. And we could also use a drum rack. It's kind of up to you, whatever way you want to do it. You just hit Control G on this, it automatically puts it in a instrument rack. But I think we could also choose, well, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't give us a put in drum rack. I know we can drag a drum rack into here. So let's go ahead and just do that for the heck of it. Yeah, drum racks within drum racks. It's there's no end to it. So cool. And when you've nested drum racks, I guess the top level drum rack is the only one that gets this option here to have this kind of grid, and everything beneath it, it treats it a little bit differently, a bit more like an instrument rack, but you still get, it looks like you still get the return and sends, which is pretty slick, and the reason why I wish that regular instrument racks had that option also. Maybe in a future version. Okay, so, you know, and it looks like this might be expecting a different note, which is why we're not hearing anything. It's probably, since I dropped this in here, it probably just set it at C3. That's my guess. So in order to remedy that, let's turn off this randomizer for now. We can pitch down whatever note this is. Yeah, I'm not even sure what note this drum rack is now allowing to go through. I mean, there's our sound, of course, but since we don't have this here grid, unless I'm just blind in it and it really is there. Oh, okay, so here under this IO, we've got, it's set to receive C1, it looks like. So maybe C3. We'd set it at C3. I'm blind. Okay, so this is one of those moments where it's like, is it, you know, is this worth it? Because honestly, if we don't have this thing to show us what notes, I mean, we can see what note is coming through here, but just a MIDI rack will tell us. And you know what? It's no notes. Ha! So I was just, you know, I thought I had this chance on 100%. Well, let's just turn that off then. So we've got, it looks like C, somewhere between C1. That's interesting. So anyway, I'm going to ungroup this for now. So obviously this thing is not set up properly. Wow, how did it get all the way down to C1? That is a really good question. Oh. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Yeah, sometime we found it. So, back to the original idea. It's easy to get stuck sometimes, and debugging your way out of the bug ditch is, you know, it's part of the process, I guess. Wow, we've got some random notes just kind of jumping all over the place. Here we go. I think having this chance up here, the choices, was what was doing it. Cool. Really diving deep into some instrument and rack design today. You never know where we'll end up with these silly sketches. Cool. Cool. And so this way, we with this randomizer here, and we can add another choice. And we see we'll get maybe another, yeah, we'll get one more note here, one more voice for the, so this is like a dynamic, dynamically nested and we could really have as many as we want in here, as many as we want to sort of play with, as much as we would have the time and patience and stomach. Yeah, this is the cricketizer. And are you not going to let me rename that? Yeah, it's funny. I guess when you... I thought it was we had put it in here, but maybe... Let's see, where exactly is the cricketizer? Yeah, this thing right here, it's funny because it's like, I don't see the mute and the solo in there at all. And I don't know if that's because we dropped an instrument rack in there, which is a really odd behavior. I don't know why we would lose the mute functionality then. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, if I... just for the sake of knowing in the future, yeah, we got our one instrument in there, and if we group it, okay, and if we have multiples in there, do we lose our... Huh, it's like, did we just hit a bug, or... Because, I mean, here we get the mute functionality, but here we don't, I don't see any mute. It's very strange. If I drop a drum rack inside, do it like double nest it? So it doesn't like it. Just, yeah, you just lose drum racks and drum racks. That is for future reference. Good to know. Maybe if we just yank this out and move this over to here. And then, what if can I delete this? Or what happens if we pull it back over to here? I don't know. What if I just hold down Control? It looks like it's not routing it. So it's, I see. Interesting. The drum rack is somewhat of a mystery to me, especially right now. So it's just creating these chains here. Then if I, let's see, pull this all out and put it into a separate MIDI. Sometimes I just like to, you know, try and figure out how these things behave so that down the road I can, yeah, so we got a note coming in here. I see that. So now I want to drag all this back over. Let's just copy it. Let's see if we can just do something simple like that. Copy and paste. Can we just paste in there? Okay. But now we still don't have this, you know, there's probably some real receive all, maybe that has something to do with it. All notes, yeah. So let's see, this one is set to D sharp 1, C1, play C3. I do like all this, and this choke stuff seems pretty useful too. So we're looking at E1 then, which is apparently I'm blind. I guess it's all the way down below here, E1. Ah, okay, so that is interesting. Okay. Something to consider for future reference. And I think now we need to switch up some of this stuff here. Looks like we don't have a... I tell you, it's like pulling teeth with this thing, yeah. Pulling teeth. So anyway, I guess, you know, we'll just... we got a note coming through there, too. C3 note, E1, D1. Everything looks to be proper. And I feel like we've got a note coming through here. So it may just be this, let's see. Oops, if I group this, because I mean, I'm seeing notes for sure. And maybe this is actually now, oh, we have these set up. Okay, so yeah, before, because we had set it to notes on all, yeah, so we just need to move these, all three of these. Yeah, samba whistle. Classic. All right, cool. Let's pull this out of there. Yeah, now this is, okay, so everything is working. Crisis averted. We've got just the most gorgeous of classic samba whistle style. And let's go ahead, and since we moved some things around, we'll remap this to our chance. And there we go. Switch that up 1, so now our chance will work. 100%, 100% on, 0%, yeah. Cool, and if we want to pitch shift everything after our randomizer, we could add a minus, 24, pitch it back down to the original. Although I see that's not going to work because now we're pitching out of the range that we've set inside of here. So we have to pitch everything on a per instrument basis, which isn't crazy terrible. And we could map all of these to here. And awesome. Okay, so we can definitely throw some effects after this whole instrument rack. And group that and put a gate before this. Call this Samba Effects, and we could pull with this gate using our sidechain functionality from the Samba Effects we can find it. There it is. Let's do post effects on that. Turn our mix all the way down. Cool. Now I want to do something that will create a kind of a flux with this. So I'm going to put a tremolo. Let's put a tremolo after it, and we will make this go to the beat and use a normalizer or invert it and make it sort of like a reverse ramp. And I'm going to mute the incoming, or we could set the mix to 100%, obviously, and that's kind of the same as putting a mute, so I don't need to do that. I will drag this in here and then delete it. So now we have a dry through, and this is our feedback through. And we could go one step further. We could add a 1/6 and a 1. You know, we could have as many of these as we want, and this is going to make our sound coming out of it a lot more chopped up. Also, this kind of compacts that sound as well. I also want to play with a delay with a modulation on the time. I do love this feature in the new. Although I wish we could set the rate to be controlled by the tempo. That would be super useful. And if we want, we can add this effect on the output, make it set to the tempo. And now we've got a much more to the beat kind of sound coming out of here. Cool. So this is all good. I think for the sake of the drum rack being percussive, we probably just want to keep things simple. And I say that as I'm like, well, let's just put more effects in there. A feedback loop is not a simple setup. And it can take a lot of tweaking, a lot of essentially like you can get a flanger out of this. A flanger is basically a delay with a modulation on the So, going back into this, as much as I love a good samba whistle, as much as I love a good cowbell, let's get some white noise in there. I like that tighter sound. Let's up our chance. And I'm just going to watch here and see which notes it's playing. It looks like we need to shift these up one more step. Or actually, we can easily do that with a pitch right after here. So this is going to basically push everything up. Or we could have probably just pushed it up there, I think. Or, sorry, push it down one. There we go. Cool. So now we have a bit of a hi-hat going on there. Well, let me call up my utility really quick and see what we get through here. All right, almost to the hour mark. Well, I think we can go as long as we want, honestly. I try to keep these somewhat terse, concise to an hour, but we can do whatever we want, honestly. Now, I am curious now what will happen if we just duplicate this over and without any of the modulation or anything. What do we get? We've got our key turned on. I think we just need to send, let's see, make sure I'm in the right zone. All ends channels. Got this set to hold. Cool. So I think we have to use our scale, basically no compressor here, and find the right pitch. And I think it's -64 so that no matter what note we send in, it's going to send out the note that we want, which I believe in this case is C3. So looks like we need to pitch this down. So I'm just spamming all the keys. So now we've got C3 coming through. You can see it here. Awesome. And let's pull this over here and see if we're getting any notes coming out of there. Yep, looks like we got C3 coming out of there. Cool. And we should be, and I can see here in our drum rack, we need to pitch things down even more. So let's stop the clock and maybe just double check if down 2 octaves, it kind of looked like that's what we wanted. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So we got our probability all the way up. And I do want to add a randomizer, velocity randomizer to our kick. And I think I had this set up to do just that. And I want to pull down, I think I want to do some fancy footwork here so that when our kick probability goes all the way down, we get, less volume obviously, and then I want to map the random so that when we pull it down, the randomizer goes up. So I need to reverse this. Let's see if that's it's looking close-ish. So let's close all this nonsense. Cool. And I think I want to further map it to make this go down even more. And maybe not up 100%. And maybe I'll make the randomness, yeah, it looks like we've got a little bit of randomness when we're all the way up. So, and the idea is that we would connect these to MIDI knobs, or we could further tweak them here and kind of control our patterns based on automating these. Well, and I needed to map this hi-hat, metally hi-hat thing. Yeah, and this electrical buzz, wow, I mean, if it hasn't just annoyed everybody to tears by now. Uh, there's so much more we can do with this, with getting the randomized velocity in there. And then also a random pitch that'll... Cool. Hi-hats, and we could remove the this reverb here. We could have a global knob that controls, at least for our main kicks, the rate. So right now we've got what the lowest is minus 24. So let's say minus 24 there. And it looks like we may have, okay, so minus 16 on that one. Let's map it to this same knob and we'll say minus 16 there. And maybe instead of 1, 1, we'll see the highest is, you know, we'll make them all different for now. And map this to 128 and then this to 1. Okay, and let's map this to synced rate. So we could put a MIDI knob on this and have that control there. It's a fascinating way to build. I think it's fun. Most people might think it's too cumbersome or tedious, as you saw even me having struggles trying to figure out why certain things weren't working. And since we had mapped the rates slightly different for each of those voices, cool. And let's take it one step further. Let's add a sort of melodic element, if you will, which is you're all just thinking this is too crazy. I'm out. Peace. I can't take it anymore. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Maybe we'll have this reverb here. We'll map it to that wet and dry there, and then also the decay time. We'll map that to the wet and dry too. And we don't want it to go that high. Where it is there. It's so when the more wet and dry, the more so metally, I tell you. When building these kinds of racks, you know, as much as you can put on one knob, at least until Ableton 11, where we'll have, I guess, up to 16 knobs plus presets. I mean, things are going to get really cool. So we have this one knob left. So this will be our verb. We got to color them. We got to, you know, give ourselves a... I almost want to pull down the distortion when the kick with teeth comes down in volume and such. So we need to map this drive here to our master. let's grab that and put it on our probability. So the top will be, let's see, 16, and the bottom is there. So we'll always have a little bit. Cool. And we could also map the this sustain. Let's see. Let's give ourselves more. That's a lot of fun with this time slider. I wish we had a randomizer in here. Like the sampler has a really cool function there. Good old sampler. All right, so I like that. And there's a way we can make it so that this knob, when it's 93 to 100, only controls this. I think that's some sort of witchcraft there. So our sustain. Wow, this is just large and just intense. I guess because we have no on-off probability happening. All right, I think we want to get this sustain mapped here to our kick, and we will make it. I'm gonna make it 0 and minus 9 for now. And let's see what happens when we map this to here. So when we pull this down, we get this sustain. Yeah, so I didn't really do what I was hoping, but it seems like the 50% mark is going to be kind of the sweet spot. And I think we have this a filter envelope somewhere in here. There it is. That definitely wants a loop. At least I want to hear what that'll sound like. Wow, really transforming this thing. Let's see what happens if I just hit a bunch of undos and try to get back to... Cool. And then we had pulled the cool. And was it maybe the filter is what's causing some of the nice, or it could have been the LFO envelope. Oh, we don't have a loop on that. Well, I want to hear what that'll sound like. Wow, really kind of like Stuff is getting weird. Wow, just the world's worst reverb sometimes. All right, sweet. So I had one last idea of some kind of melodic sounding thing, and I need to make sure we got this on the right. So E, F, yep, looking good, looking good. Let's do F there, push this up one. Yeah, and how about a randomizer that has a really wide spread? Let's do 2 scale and crazy, 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 too crazy. Good old Dorian. I'm actually curious if I group this scale effect and then I duplicate it out. Yeah, things get nuts. So now we're splitting this 1 note in into 2 notes out, but at different scales. Cool. And it sounds like we kind of want a probability. But I'm going to pull out our trusty old school MIDI note probability. I think this is the one. No, that's these are max patches. Yep, it makes the most sense to use the max patch. However, this note probability gate here works on. I've got it set up to work on all the instruments. Or, sorry, all the keys. Wow, this is really some uber obvious IDM type stuff. But we'll for now, just for the fun of it, we'll not knock that too much. I'm not judging. No, I love IDM. I've been really inspired lately by this one artist. Several artists, actually. Rennick Bell, William Fields, Richard Devine, as always. But William Fields has really just blown me away in terms of what he's created. He's got this whole system he's built with this really smart randomizing functionality and preset morphing or whatever functionality. His pattern game is off the hook, I tell you. And he's got this system that he can just sort of interact and sort of manipulate these master parameters, but it does so much smart generative, meaningfully smart generative stuff under the hood. Definitely check out William Fields. There's some beautiful live sets that he's done on Great Circles. I think it's Great Circles Radio. That's the Vimeo page. He's got some really cool visuals also. All right, back to it. Let's... Yeah, I want to have the sync rate here also controlling the sync of... I see. So we gotta map this here. Rate. In a perfect world, I'd have more knobs on the master macro to... Oh, no, I did not want to do that. I wanted to map this to here. You know, I'd have a lot more knobs to just have for our melodic section. Like, it'd be cool to control them all together. All right, so let's map this. Yeah, did I do that right? Okay, yes. Cool, and then we also need... I was going to put this here, probability control. We've got probability here, and I suppose I could just control this. Yeah, that's interesting. When we pull it down, we get a chord because we're not... Huh, all right, and then... Okay, so we'll call, we'll map what to what. How about we map this chance here, and then keeping it all straight in your head is half the battle. And I'm going to map this chance to here. Okay, and I want to flip this so that we, you know, have the same behavior as all the others. So 0 is like nothing through. And I think I changed my mind in terms of the sync. I want to map that to this knob here. So let's click on that and map it to here. So we'll get slower notes. All right, and this is just a weird scale that we have going on here, and it would be cool to have another knob here to... So that we could change like the different scales that we're using. Let's hear what a C major will sound. So maybe we can make this here go up to, let's see. So it only turns on when we are all the way up. Maybe we'll make the C major have a wider range of on time. So a little weirder when it's slower. Yeah, so if we add some steps here, I think we'll get a... we want by. I think that's going to throw it up and down both. And maybe we can get... put the steps on here, And the scale, yeah, so let's see. Map this, so it's 0 and... Not sure I like the C major happening in there. I'm curious what it'll sound like if, or what'll happen if we set this between 90 and 100. Ah, so it's only on between 90 and 100. Well, that's a lot to consider there. We could also do something really weird and have a second C major set up only between, let's just say, 30 and 40. So you can see now this one is on. And unless you really know how it's mapped, it's gonna not make sense how these notes are being spit out and what keys and whatnot. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. I think that's just too crazy. Got to get some random velocity in there. Okay, alright, I guess I can live with that. One last thing I want to try. Let's put this here, decay. Map it to here. So we get longer notes when it's short or slower when this knob is pulled down. Wow, what is happening? What is going on? It's almost hard to follow what it's doing. But this is cool because you know, now we can save this. All this scatter beats. We've got a lot of different sound options in here. If we don't want the kick or hi-hat, Of course, we could automate the crap out of it and get infinite numbers of possibilities of different sounding things happening in there. But as a starting point, it's not bad. I feel like this hi-hat, I need to add some velocity in there. It's a little too on all the time, or just, yeah. Let's see, where is our hi-hat? I believe it was this one. And let's pull up the random a little bit. There we go. Fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this in our, I guess, instrument rack. Save for all of time. And of course it just needs really, we don't even need to play C3. We have it set up so we can play any note we want in there. Yeah, any note. Because we put this pushes any note you send in all the way up. So then what spits out is always the highest note, and from there you can just tune it down to whatever one note you need. And if we don't want anything to play, we just turn all these all the way down. Cool. Let's go ahead and save this. I like this setting of knobs here. Gosh, it's going to be great to have presets inside the racks. I really can't wait to jump over to Live 11. I am... yes, our amazing effects rack that I need to get a wet dry going on. A Dretwy. Also my new band name, artist name. Things are crazy, and we could get, let's see, I want to sidechain from the beginning of this wet dry. Oh, look at that. There's a lot of nuts stuff going on there. There we go, dry post effects. Let's turn all these off. Cool. And let's throw this in our feedback path. Very flangery, and I think a lot of it has to do with this rate happening. And perhaps an auto pan. and an auto filter. Set this to high pass. Where is it? Goodness. And let's push up the res, see what we get. Okay, cool. I guess I can live with that. Could use a lot more tweaking maybe, but... Of course, if we put this here, we're bound to get a lot more crazy feedback stuff. And we've got our wet dry, so we can turn that down. Feedback effects. And I believe if we just play with this gain here, we're gonna be able to kill our feedback. Cool. Feedback. Crazy. Cool. So, as you can see here, I'm just sort of moving around knobs, trying to listen for opportunities to... Almost like this, there's like a talking, weird alien talking coming out of there. I just had a really ridiculous thought, but let's go ahead and save this. If we add a volume envelope in there, and why shouldn't we? Audio effect, envelope follower. There we go. A lot of crazy stuff happening there. Be super cool if we could automate, or at least it doesn't look like these are set up to be able to be mapped or automated. That's too much control, they say. Mere mortals should... Wow, okay. A lot happens when we push our gain up now. I think we probably don't want our kick probability to be... Maybe we'll map it to here. Perhaps not the wet and dry either. Awesome. I'm going to map this here, just do one last little bit of maintenance. 1 and a 0. Map. 1 and a 0. Okay, cool. Unmap and pull this into our audio effects racks for future fun. 'Cause I think it sounds decent enough. So now we have our envelope follower. We don't need to group anymore. So now our kick, the volume from the kick probability section is controlling the melody, which is, it is what it is. All right, cool. I think it's in a good spot. And if we pull this down, what do we get? Good breakdown there. Cool. Well, I'm pleased with this for now, so I think we'll call it You're like, finally. Finally. All right, sweet. Sorry if the volume was just a little quiet overall on this one, but you know, feel free to bust open this project at your leisure. I'll include all this in there, and dive deep down into these if you dare, and you know, have fun tweaking and making these, you know, do what you want. Obviously, I recommend, you know, maybe swapping out these operators here with samplers and, you know, putting your own sounds in there. Until next time.